Wait, this is Tim from Mike. This is Mike from Hanoi.
Hi, Tim. I keep taking the bus to Laos, and these funny things keep happening. So I just tried to write that up recently. And I think I would call it something like brushes with the dark side of backpackerdom. In some travelers' minds, Southeast Asia's backpacker trail means tropical beaches, skimpy bikinis, and minty mojitos. But the trail has a dark side. Backpackers can be reckless, and when they binge on drugs and booze, they bank on the kindness of sober strangers. I am one such stranger on bus rides from Hanoi to Vientiane. For me, an American writer living in the Vietnamese capital, the 18-hour journey to Laos is an affordable alternative at $18 to the 1-hour direct flight at $130. But for some backpackers, the bus is just another party venue, and by extension, a potential recipe for a disaster. The first time I bused to Laos, I sat next to an 18-year-old Englishman. He was taking his gap year, a 12-month grace period between high school and university. He was barefoot and unshaven, and he smelled like moldy athletic uniforms. Shoes chafe my feet, he said, if you're wondering. Suit yourself, I said, but what's with your bags? Instead of a standard rucksack, he held 2 waterproof pouches, the kind better suited to long bicycle trips. My seatmate said he had lost his bike in Cambodia. He couldn't remember how. Weird, I thought. As our bus zoomed through the countryside, I watched the teenager swallow a handful of pills. Soon his pupils were dilating. He said airily that he hadn't contacted his mother in more than a month. Apparently that was why she was bombarding him with emails. Also, he was out of money, and he hadn't eaten since breakfast. I didn't know why this teenager was behaving so irresponsibly, or if he was telling the truth about his bicycle, his mother, or his finances. But I felt sorry for him, so I gave him my second sandwich. The following afternoon, when our bus stopped in Vientiane, I gave him a few thousand kip, and I told him to call home. Thanks, mate, he said. Good idea. The second time I bused to Laos, I met another wayward 19-year-old. He was wearing a starched dress shirt and a silver watch. After finishing high school in Norway, he said, he had flown to Ho Chi Minh City, purchased a motorbike and driven it to Hanoi. When his savings ran out, he said he would fly to Australia and look for work. My seatmate was particularly excited about visiting Vang Vieng, the Lao backpacker mecca, famous or notorious for river tubing, dance music, and copious opium. To tide him over, he said he would pop a few Valiums. Careful, I said, thinking of the Englishman. Hey, he said, opening a bottle of vodka. Do you want a sip? No, I said, so he started drinking alone. I opened a novel. 2 hours later, the vodka bottle was empty, and my seatmate had worked himself into a drowsy state of belligerence. First, he cursed in a slurred voice at no one in particular, then he slammed his head against the seat. When our driver stopped the bus and walked down the aisle to see what was going on, he punched the driver in the face. The driver dragged him off the bus. The Vietnamese passengers were staring out the windows. I was the only foreign passenger who spoke any Vietnamese, so I went outside. It was 3 a.m. Is he your friend, the driver asked? Yes, I lied. He stays here. I looked around. It was complete darkness. No, please, I said, you must take him back. The driver relented, and we dragged the inebriated teen back to his seat. In 5 minutes, he was snoring. He was still drunk the next morning when we reached the Vietnamese border, so I paid his $1 country exit fee. We're crossing into Laos, I said as the bus coughed to life. I think you owe everyone here an apology. Is that right, he said. What for? The next time I bused to Laos, I sat behind 2 20-something women from suburban London and New York, respectively. They said they were on vacation from teaching English in Thailand. I was relieved by their apparent normalcy. They said they were meeting friends in Vang Vieng, the Lao party mecca, but they couldn't resist the temptation to put an edge on. I watched them pop Valiums and guzzle a bottle of wine. Then they fell asleep in each other's arms, tongues lolling out of their mouths. I was sitting with a group of Hanoi carpenters. They liked to drink, they said, but not on overnight bus rides. Drinking to fall asleep? One guy said. Very strange. You're telling me, I said. The bus broke down and we were delayed for 8 hours in the Vietnamese port city Vinh. By the time we arrived in Vientiane, the sleepy Lao capital, it was almost midnight. The women were sober now, but in their festive zeal they had cooked up a crazy plan, taking a midnight taxi directly to Van Vien. Impossible, I said. A 3-hour ride follows a road that is rutted, dark, twisty, and unlit. Even the taxi drivers at the Vientiane bus station were reluctant. Whatever they said, someone will take us if we pay. No, I said, not safe. I persuaded them to split a taxi with me to Vientiane. I asked our taxi driver to take them to an unpretentious, clean hotel near the bus station. They agreed reluctantly, like sick children accepting cough syrup. I'm only 26, but I felt like their father. The women shouldered their backpacks and thanked me for my help and advice. But we don't have any kip yet, they said, through the window. Could you spot us?
Nice. Thank you so much for reading. It was really funny and great. Jacob will now introduce our amazing game. Game number 1, which is the picture game.
Picture game.
Okay. And they're obviously all related to the theme, Once Upon a Time. And so we've done some fairy tale themed games. And game number 1.
Do we have paper to write on?
For these? Yeah.
Well, we have.
Yeah, we